Okay, welcome. It's been a hot minute since I've done a React follow-along style video to G-Man Speaks TV. So if you don't know who G-Man Speaks TV is, just quickly touching on it, he's an Aussie YouTuber. He gives rather good and healthy advice to men, younger and older, men that are in serious relationships, just gotten out of serious relationship, shares his lived experience. Even if you're a man that's in a happy, monogamous, healthy marriage, some of the videos he does are just explicitly targeted towards men and provide rather good insight into some trials and tribulations men might face. And this video is titled, "Why Did She Leave You?" So that is a question I think just about every single man, whether he's younger or older, will ask himself. Some get stuck in a rut and ask themselves that question more often than they need to, more often than they should, generally because they've been gaslit to believe that they have done something wrong, that they're just not understanding, that they are perhaps not aligned to the woman's feelings, and they take the blame. But I've said this in other videos, it's generally a two-way street. Yes, there are things that you could have done better as a man that potentially, let's just call it, assisted that relationship reaching its terminal destination and ending. But for a lot of the time, I think a lot of men will take it on board that they did quite a lot of things wrong and they're solely the ones to blame. They get gaslit. That's what I'm saying. They get gaslit into believing that it's all their fault. So this is titled, "Why Did She Leave You?" I'm assuming this gentleman is going to be sharing some sort of breakup story. Hopefully it's not some kind of a divorce story where he lost everything. I haven't seen it before, but G-Man will interject his perspectives, thoughts, opinions, lived experience, and I will do the same. We'll try not to cut each other off, and let's hear what the lad on screen has to say.
G'day guys, welcome to G-Man Speaks. Today we're going to take a look at a video called "I'm Single, What Happened?" and this is by a guy called Chang Nation. I have this video in a description. I may not get through the whole thing, so if you want to see everything he has to say, check it out. So I think to preface this video, men generally react a few different ways to breakups. I think every breakup that I've had in my life, I use it as an opportunity for learning. You pick up things every time. You do, as a man, you need to get punched in the face a few times before you start learning, especially about women. Because as men, we are programmed in society that there's sugar and spice and all things nice, and they're just sitting there at the bell of the ball, and they're just sitting there waiting for you to go and commit, because all they want is a boyfriend, right? And so when we go and get into relationships, and inevitably come out the other side, whether it's a girlfriend, a wife, whatever it is, someone you're dating, things don't stack up a lot of the time, and so you are confused and you don't know what has happened. So this particular video, this guy, I would say he's probably very much on the plugged in side of things. He's trying to rationalize why she's broken up with him without really understanding why, or trying to learn why, or seeking out the right answers.
Goodness. Okay, so women are generally emotionally based. They're always emotionally charged. They act on emotions, impulses, whereas men are reasonable minded. They try and use the reasonable mind. I've talked about this in other videos, the wise mind. They use logic to make their decisions. And then when something like this, let's just say a breakup happens, men try to find the answers using that reasonable mind, using logic. But I wanted to use the word "for the most part," but for the entire part. I back myself to say for the entirety of the breakup, the woman is using her emotional mind, and her reason is driven by an emotional choice, an emotional decision. Yes, you can have your examples too of where it's a logic-based decision, because the man was just outright abusive. He used physical, emotional violence too. Okay, he was violent. He was a bad person, we'll put it that way. But for a lot of the time here, most of the time, women will end relationships, be unhappy, and use words such as I'm unfulfilled and I deserve more and I deserve better, and you just don't fill my emotional needs. I'm just not happy around you. You drain the life out of me. Does any of that sound familiar, perhaps? So that's what I'm getting at when I say that generally their decision to break up is an emotional decision. They don't look at it from the logical point of view that men tend to do. So now I'm assuming he's going to start rationalizing using that reasonable, logical, wise mind, trying to decipher where her decision processes might have taken place and how she came to her decision. But I can already tell you right now, he's not going to find the answer because he's looking in the wrong sector. Okay, he's not wearing, let's just say, her shoes. He's not going to be thinking about this using the emotional, the impulsive mind.
So I'll get started here.
I'm single, guys. So, nope, this title is not clickbait. My girlfriend and I, we split yesterday. Today's actually my birthday, so...
Cop that, David, for the
29.
birthday.
Getting old.
Dude, he's like straight on YouTube. Split yesterday and today's my birthday. And I'm going to do content.
Almost 30, but yeah. We broke up yesterday, so we were dating for almost 3 years. We started dating...
Okay, so you didn't break up. She dumped you yesterday, the day before your birthday. So she's done you a favour, mate. She's dumped you a day before your 30th birthday or 29th birthday. I can't remember what he said. Mate, I can tell you right now, you're not old. A lot of young blokes think when they hit 30, the world ends. It's just the start. It's just a start. I'm approaching 40. I don't even feel like I'm just feeling like I'm really getting started now. So you got time.
It's actually the first video I did that pretty much started all this, not including any of the gaming ones I've done in the past, but I believe it was titled, So You're 30? It's not too late. So it's really not too late. Life is really getting started for you as a man. I think if you keep yourself in relatively good shape, I'm not going to go as far as to say you peak physically when you're 30, 35, but you can still hang there with the best of them. You can still hang there with guys that are in their mid-20s, early 20s if you keep yourself in rather good shape. You look after yourself. I mean, look at Novak Djokovic, just for context. He's not in his prime anymore, but he can still hang there with the best of them, and I think he's about 37 years old. There's still some professional athletes that are 37, 38. So physically, you might not be in your peak. You probably won't be in your peak, and don't expect that of yourself. But you can still hang there. And emotionally, though, your reasons, your experiences that all form the wise mind that I'm speaking about, you have acquired this experience and knowledge. Your brain has formed, developed, matured. You now have a totally different lease on life, different take, different perspective on things that you might have not even thought were possible. Something you wouldn't have bat an eye at, given a second thought about in your mid-20s. Okay, you look at things now with more logic. You better construct your arguments. You have more valid points, outlooks on things and life in general. So life really is now starting for you in your 30s. It's a really big developmental stage mentally, I believe, for a man in his 30s. A lot of things, not so much as changing, but forging. They're becoming set in stone. You really start becoming set in your ways. You start having really strong values and core fundamentals. We'll call them pillars, non-negotiables as a man around that time. And you really start putting things in stone that this is how it's going to be moving forward. And anyone who enters my life, whether they're friends, even relatives sometimes, partners, they're going to have to roll with this. This is how things are going to be. This is my outlook. I will break before I bend. I'm not saying be egotistical, but I'm saying have your core values, have your fundamentals, have things in place that define you, who you are as a man. and they are non-negotiable. You don't change them for anyone. But they're rooted and grounded in logic and reason. I come back to that because it's really important. We don't want to be emotionally driven as men.
In December of 2021, so we were a couple months away from our 3-year anniversary. Ironically, as we were like breaking up, my video like posted where I was talking about how I was less needy in this current relationship, and that is true. Basically, the purpose of this video is I just wanted to kind of just like talk about the reasons why we broke up, and then discuss the plans I have moving forward. And hopefully you guys find some value in it if you're facing a breakup, or you're in a relationship, or maybe if you get into a relationship in the future. And just wanted to keep you guys updated since you guys know that I've had a girlfriend for quite some time now. So on the surface, this might...
All right, so I think probably what we're going to get... So I watched about this far in, guys. I didn't watch the whole thing yet. So what do we say? Our girlfriend's dumped him a little bit before 30. And he, to me, comes across as a guy who probably isn't that experienced with women. I'd probably take a look at him and think he's probably had very limited experience. And this is not, look, a bad thing. I'm just saying you can tell the type of guys by looking at him a lot of the time. He has limited experience, doesn't really understand women at all, what they get up to, how they think, and what they really hunt from men, right? A lot of guys that understand that they're the ones being hunted, especially when it comes to commitments. So this guy, he's probably struggled. He's finally gotten a girlfriend. As he said, he's been needy, probably social anxiety, over neediness with women based on bad experiences he's had in the past, which is common. It's very hard for guys to get girlfriends. Women don't understand this because a lot of the time they can jump around and generally get a guy to go out with them, or they have guys on the back burner. Not every guy is watching this type of content and knows what's up. I'd say it's probably a small portion of the population that are seeking answers and knowledge. Okay, so there's always another guy for him to go out with, another guy who has no idea. He will step straight into the new boyfriend role the day after she's dumped another guy without even doing any sort of risks analysis or seeing any red flags in it at all, because it'll be different for him. As with for men, especially in your 20s, very difficult unless you're really the top, like really attractive, sporty guy, cool guy, fun guy. Yeah, it's a lot different in your 20s to your 30s, and I can get to that a bit later. It's very hard to get a girlfriend, or a really good girlfriend, or a woman that you look at and go, wow, she's sort of out of my league type girlfriend. It's very, very...
This might be a pretty controversial opinion, but that's why we had arranged marriages in the past. It didn't grant this sexual freedom option and plethora now of the modern day dating landscape, the availability to fuck around, to sleep around. What G-Man's saying is based 100 facts. Finding a really good girlfriend, finding the kind of girlfriend, finding a woman, a young woman, when you're both in your 20s, she hasn't slept around and lived that kind of life, and you meet, mingle, and then establish a healthy monogamous relationship moving forward, eventually get married, live a traditional life, have kids. It starts with one, your one and only, her, you to her, her to you, and happily ever after. In 2024 and moving forward, even when I was a teenager, about 14, 15 years ago, very difficult to do. And that's why I say that comment. Without arranged marriage, through families, two families, let's just say two dads coming together. One dad has a daughter, the other dad has a son. And that's how the boy and girl will say meet at a young age and then live the traditional lifestyle. Now, because, and this just ties in with everything G-Man has probably already said and something that I've said in one or even two or three other videos, the plethora of options the hypergamy of women to always look for the next thing, for the next best option. They're driven by nature to want to look over the other side of the fence to find the greener grass. It doesn't matter what you have, what you give her, how hard you try. For a lot of the time, if her values and her heart isn't in the right place, and she's just riding this wave, riding, say, the honeymoon phase with you, it'll flare out and it will come back. Love, her love for you, it has to be grounded in something. Why does she love you? Why does she want to be with you? Why does she support you? Is it because she wants something out of you? Well, I've also said this before. Women don't love men unconditionally like men love women. Women love men part-time. Ultimately, they love you while it's convenient for them, while they can take something from you, while they can get something out of you. For men to have a connection, and this advice right now, if you're a woman listening to this, heed it. For men to fall in love with you as a woman, they have to feel a connection to you. Did you get that the first time? Men will fall in love when they have a connection with you. Men can fall in love with women without necessarily sleeping with them. Men fall in love with women for how the women treat men. Men fall in love with women for how much the woman respects them. All right, when men feel valued and appreciated, they feel the connection. When they feel a connection, they fall in love with you. Women, on the other hand, you know yourself, ladies. You can fall in love with a man when you're getting something that you want in that moment from the man. But what is it truly rooted in? What true value is there? All right, do you think that you love this man just because you slept with him once, twice, a couple of times now? That he's courting you and paying to go to, say, this nice restaurant. He takes you out once a week. But how connected is he truly to you? Because if he's not connected to you, then he doesn't love you. A lot of men want that kind of experience with a woman where they simply use them for sex, to sleep with them. Sometimes they just want someone's company, but again, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're connected to you, that they appreciate you, because maybe you as the woman aren't doing anything for the man to have that connection with you in the first place. You're not doing anything as a woman for that man to value you. Comes back to another thing I might have said in the past of what do you as the woman, what do you bring to the table? Because if the only thing you are bringing to the table is, let's just say, your tight ass from the gym, your nice figure, your body, it's going to get old. That's not grounded in anything. That's not reality of anything long and fruitful and everlasting. That's no basis for a healthy relationship moving forward down the line through multiple years. So it's just some questions you have to ask yourself. And again, for men to fall in love, for men to really feel that this relationship has significant value to them, it doesn't necessarily need to have that day in, day out, constant intimacy as well. It's what you do for the man that makes him connected to you. How you act when you're in the presence of the man, when you're out together. Do you make him feel confident, respected, and loved when you're out in public? Now, how do you treat him? How receptive are you to what he's saying? Do you listen to his advice when he tries to give it to you, when he tries to steer you in the right direction, you as a couple in the right direction, with say decisions that he makes around the home or for the benefit of your relationship.
Difficult. Like generally those women are going for guys slightly older, not guys younger or around the same, because women are drawn to guys who have done stuff, who are accomplished and proven it's attractive to them. Okay, so when a guy does get a woman that he perceives as being high value or better than him, he's instantly on the back foot, and also gets really.
That's true, but see, that's also the thing. Value. This woman is high value. How are you gauging her as high value? Because now I ask the question. Are you perceiving her as high value because she's got the gym bod? So now automatically you think, okay, she's got the gym bod, she's high value. She's some kind of boss lady. Maybe makes more money than you. Okay, she's high value. You've got to ask yourself, I've said this now so many times, have the conversation with yourself of what do you even want from this relationship? If you just want her for the good body, if all you care about is the sex, you're not grounding your relationship in anything, all right? It's built on sand. That's going to fizzle out. If that's all you want, that's what you want. I'm not criticizing you. Don't take this out of context either, gentlemen. If you're watching this and you're thinking, man, like that's all I want. I just want to sleep with this tight-looking chick. Okay, that's what you want. But don't expect it to last, for it to be a foundation that's going to lead to a long-term healthy relationship, if that's all you want. So when you look at a woman and you think, oh, she's high value, oh, she's out of my league, what's making you say that, bro? Is she treating you with respect? Does she listen to you? Does she take your phone calls? Does she support you? Does she back you? Does she show that in public, or does she disrespect you in public? Can other people overhear that she's naggy and bitchy and rude? Because hold on a minute, she might be boss lady, 6 figures in the bank account, 6 figures coming in annually, owns a house, whatnot, lives by herself, great body. But if she's not valuing you as a man, then why the fuck do you even care about her value? Oh, she's higher value than me. Dude, let her be. You don't even need that. She's not fulfilling her duty to you as a woman. Especially if this is a woman you want something long-term with. All that other shit, and by shit I mean her house, her career, her body even, okay, they're not foundations. They're not foundations for you moving forward.
Really attached. I've seen this happen on numerous occasions, especially with guys closer into my my network. Pedestalizing women.
Seem like extremely shitty, which it is.
I think you can. What's the word? Pedestalize them. Okay, if they, traditionally speaking, pedestalize you, okay, one-on-one. She respects you, she cares for you. She has that motherly, nurturing side to her. And again, don't get it twisted that I'm talking about now some men oppressing their mummy issues and, oh, they need a woman to, you know, suck their teat and nurture and take care of them. No, okay? I'm saying, traditionally speaking, men want that nurturing aspect in a woman, okay? It's attractive, all right? That tender love that only a woman can provide a man. Okay, I'm not talking about motherly love, but the tender love, the feminine energy that women give men is healthy, okay? So if she's doing that, if she loves you, if she respects you, she lives by your core values. She has her own as well. You live by hers, she lives by yours. If everything aligns, you have a solid foundation in your relationship. There's nothing wrong with pedestalizing her, okay? She's worthy of being pedestalized because she's faithful to you. She truly does then love you. She's agreeable. She's easy to communicate with. She's willing to sacrifice things for you, to compromise. I suppose a lot of people might think I'm talking about a unicorn. Does that even exist? Maybe. But that's what you ultimately want. That's what then defines her as high value. She hasn't had 5 guys sleep with her, let alone 6, 10, 20.
I think when you date someone for so long, letting go is definitely difficult. But to be honest, in this specific scenario, I feel like it was a situation where we both didn't want to break up, but we both agreed that we should break up.
Pardon me.
No. See, she's letting you down, right? She's not saying, how do you not want to break up a breakup? It makes no sense, mate. And it is a cope. Unfortunately, guys will listen to the reasons that women give them for breaking up. If the woman is even courteous enough to try and lie to him, to give him some sort of closure or understanding of why his ass is being dumped. Guys will just lap that up. But the reason, this doesn't make sense to me. Let's just keep watching.
Well, it's that word. I didn't know for the longest time what it meant. I suppose I showed no interest in finding out the definition, but it's a gaslighting-like response. Okay? I've touched on this, where women will say stuff like, well, I was just in a dark place. You made me feel so and so and so. I just wasn't feeling that connection with you. We started drifting apart. I just wanted to move on with my life. Any of that sound familiar? Maybe you can give your own. What did I also say 10 or so minutes ago about how women will use that emotional mind to give these emotionally charged reasons, and you're over there with your logical, reasonable mind as a man trying to decrypt this enigma box of reasons that she's giving you and trying to justify their validity through reason and logic when it's straight up emotions. It's emotional talk, right? You can't pick up that frequency using that way of thinking. You have to wear her shoes, which can be really difficult for men in general when they are reasonable-minded, driven individuals. They use their reasonable mind, their logical, intellectual, wise minds, and it's very hard for men to put themselves in that place to start thinking emotionally. Because emotional thoughts and feelings and decisions are generally impulses. They're not rooted or grounded in anything other than a feeling. And feelings are a bit like the weather. I would say that's a bad example. Less predictable than the weather. Feelings can change. One night she goes to bed feeling such a way, she wakes up the next morning feeling a completely different way. This isn't a go at women again, but that they have periods. They have cycles. And during their cycles, before their cycles, after their cycles, hormonal changes. Along with that comes changes in the way they feel. How they feel before their period starts, during, after. It's a different feeling. You can't dispute that. Women will agree that they feel different as the cycle changes. I might have some context to share something, but stick around. It's probably going to be the best advice anyone can give you. Stick around for it.
What exactly do I mean by this? So I guess let's just dive right into it. The first reason why we broke up, she doesn't want kids, plain and simply. She expressed that early on in the relationship, and I think it's just solidified as...
Yeah, I've had women express that two actually, and then they both changed their minds. It is probably a thing you got to get out of the way right off the bat. It's a big decision. It's a life-changing decision, and it is for life, right? You'd hope you'd outgrow your kids. So yeah, it's a decision for life. And you got to have a pretty firm stance on it. If it's one of your core beliefs, something that you want as a man, and if you can't seem to change her mind to start believing and align with your way of thinking, there's nothing there. You don't have to go into a second and a third year of this already derailed train, just waiting for it to outright blow up and crash in a ball of flames. We'll let him continue.
We started dating longer and longer, and I want kids in the future. I was of the mindset that we can just cross that bridge when we get there, since I don't want to have...
No. So if this guy was really the guy she wanted and wasn't sort of the beta, sort of blue pill, and I hate using that terminology beta, but you guys are getting the gist. You know, we've all been there. Being that safe option. If he was the one that she really, really wanted, if he wanted kids, she'd probably consider it. If she even didn't want them,
yeah, bingo. She would at least consider it. So if she's not even considering it, it's a non-negotiable. She's made that rather clear to you that no. And you've done your part to, say, convince her otherwise. Why it's, say, important to you. You've perhaps explained it to her. Because some women actually just need to be enlightened. I'll use the word enlightened. And told as to how having children will fulfill them in the long run. And then some women actually come around. They wrap their heads around it and, wow, okay. No, you actually shed some light on that. And then they will agree with you. But if you've already done all that, if you've shed light, educated her, let's just say, on the matter, you've shared potential outcomes of having children and what that will do for your relationship and for her life overall. Of course, you can't paint her a total picture of what motherhood is going to be like, parenthood is going to be like, but having that family, raising kids in your own image with a man. And if she sat there with that information, thought about it, and as G-Man has just said, if she can start to at least consider it, that's a different side of the coin. But if she's outright heard it all, she maybe even heard it all before, and it's just a flat out no. I'm never getting this the word isn't coming to me. The device that women get implanted so they can't get pregnant. Okay, I'm never getting this removed. I never want to get pregnant. I don't want to have kids, period. You can't change her mind to say have this surgically removed or whatever the process is, okay? Like, I think you understand what I'm saying. You have to call it time there, really. Okay, it's not a bridge of, well, we'll just try and cross this at a later point. It's like you're going deeper and deeper, further and further into the woods. Whatever metaphor you want. Deeper into the desert, you don't have any water. You get what I'm saying? It's not just a bridge that you can hope to cross, because this is a life-altering, fundamental decision. And you need to have answers for it now before you start going deeper, headfirst into it.
Thinking, shit, I really want to keep this guy, and having kids would keep him around. So he's actively said to her he wants to have kids. He's a guy who looks like he wants to be a family kind of guy. And she's actively saying to him, I don't want him. So what's that telling you? She's not in it for the long run anyway, because she's blatantly telling you something that should go against your boundary. Okay?
Kids anytime soon. I need to work on myself first, make money to support a family. And yeah, I'm just not ready to have kids yet. But, I think that logic is fueled by the, you know, deep down desire that maybe she'll change her mind in the future. But honestly, that's not the right way to approach it. If someone doesn't want kids, let's say in the future she does have kids with me because she knows I want kids, she might secretly resent the kids, and then they're going to grow up with a mom that resents them, and that's really bad for their upbringing, right? So
I've heard this sort of same shtick. So he was like 29. I'm going to presume she's probably around the same age. It sounds like she's I can already get a gist, right? Some sort of career woman type. Nothing wrong with that. But a lot of them say this thing that they don't want kids and they want to be single, or they want to, you know, they want to be free and unburdened. I have no issue with that because that's the way that I live. Okay. I think that's great, but I don't think they really mean it. I think they say these things as a cope because they really want to push those, I guess, those maternal instincts down. That, you know, the need, the genetic need to reproduce can be very strong. So they try and push that down, saying that they don't want it.
Yeah, so my old man and I call it the program. And for some women, the program boots later rather than sooner. And yeah, as G-Man's saying here, they try and push it down, avoid it. I'm career driven. I want to be free. Once the program activates, all right, once Skynet has taken hold and taken over, there's no stopping it.
Because they're chasing this career, want to live this sort of Sex in the City lifestyle. But what I've seen happen is women who staunchly would say that in their 20s, like they're young girls, I don't know what they're talking about, all right? The mind changes with the wind. So the young girls, they get to 30, 32, they meet a good option. They meet a guy, and a lot of guys out there are pretty keen to have kids quick as well. Like guys say, oh, you know, women to baby trap guys and all. You get guys out there that have got no idea, would literally take a chick that they've known off Tinder or Bumble for 6 months and literally willingly start having kids with them. You know, hey, I say, you might as well put all your money on black, doing stuff like that, but it happens, okay? And so these women, they do suck in guys that are good options, but very much plugged in a little bit later down the line when they change their mind and realize, hang on, I'm not getting a lot of satisfaction out of just going to work every day and coming home and getting paid, because the corporate life, it's pretty robotic. And once the glamour, someone who's been in corporate, the sheen, the glitz and glamour sort of wears off after a few years, and you just realize it's just a big machine and you're this tiny little thing in the machine, and you start thinking, what else is there to my life? And that's, I'm sure, how these women think who say they don't want kids. Okay, so that's my take on that. Guys, about halfway through. If you're enjoying this video, a bit of a different one today, a bit more introspective. If you're enjoying it, please sub to the channel. Aiming for 10k subs. Your support is greatly appreciated. And guys, the best way to help me out is watch the videos through as long as you are willing to sit through, but the view time is what helps me out. It pushes my videos out to the wider audience on YouTube.
I just feel like the kids, no kids thing was actually a very big factor, just because my girlfriend, or ex-girlfriend now, was saying that she doesn't think it's fair for me to stay in this relationship since...
Gaslighting. Oh, she's putting you down gently. Oh, it's not fair on you, honey. You can do better. You can find something. I think we've all heard it at this point as well. And everything, let's just say it's word for word true, what this guy is saying. I hope he wholeheartedly doesn't take it on board, because this is just a fairy tale of an excuse. The kids thing, I can already tell you right now, that isn't the reason that, as G-Man said, she dumped him, broke up. I don't know. We just simply don't know the complete ins and outs of how it even happened, what led up to the events unfolding the way they did, her dumping him, breaking up with him right before his birthday. How did that conversation go about, what was said? But the kids thing right now, he's really reading into it. It's just concealer, okay? It's mist, it's fog, smoke. It's not the real reason. That's what I suppose she's trying to put at the forefront of his mind. But that ain't it, man. That's just the veil over your eyes. And he's clearly taken, we'll just call it the bait. Because he's believing it. He's talking about
it. By the time, let's say, like, I do want kids, I'll need to find another girl to, date and then go through that whole process when I'm older, right? Like mid-30s. So
yeah, it doesn't matter, dude. Like, your mid-30s is young. Like, that doesn't matter. You still got plenty of time at that age, even in your 40s, to have kids. It doesn't the same logic. A lot of guys, they think they get in their head that they're getting old and they're going to be this. Yeah, sure, it is obviously preferable to be a younger father, but they make it like almost like a woman, like a feminine energy. Oh, I'm too old. I'm going to miss out and all this sort of stuff. And they rush and they bang chicks off Tinder and Bumble. And
again, it's fine. You take care of yourself as a man, even if you haven't for say your 20s, you're 30, 31, 32 now. You start taking care of yourself. You start putting your best foot forward towards yourself, towards your physical and mental well-being, day in, day out. I'm not going to start going on about how to do that, but if you start doing that, say you're 32 years old now, you can be in really good shape by the time you're 33, 34. You can be in excellent shape by the time you're 35. Consistency is key. Women, on the other hand, a whole different set of outcomes. 35-year-old woman, again, you have to look at it biologically. Hate to break it to you, it does become increasingly difficult to have children around that sort of age. Again, also depends how well has the woman looked after herself. Has she been on contraceptive medication most of her life, if not all of her life, from the time she might have been like 16 years old? Women think that there's also no consequences and repercussions for that sort of stuff. I can just be on synthetic hormones, having estrogen pumped into my system to avoid pregnancy for 15, 16, 20 years. All of a sudden now I'll stop and everything is still going to work like it should.
Fucking have kids with them. I've seen it happen heaps of times. The reason why she's telling this guy it's not fair to you and blah, 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 she's letting him down easy. She doesn't want to hurt him and rip his guts out. But he's not getting the picture. He's hanging around thinking she's going to change her mind. Hats off to her. She hasn't just walked out and dumped him and blocked him. What happens, what a lot of women can do to guys, and just rip his guts out. But she's letting him down easy. He's not getting the picture. He's not understanding why she was saying that to him.
Yeah, that was reason number one, is just like the whole kids versus no kids, which is a common discussion nowadays. I feel like increasingly, people don't really want kids nowadays compared to before, where it was the norm. So yeah, that was like one big factor. The second reason was plain and simply, she was a career woman. So what I mean by this,
there you go.
Basically, she prioritized her career. And the problem with dating career women is, like I said, they prioritize the career over most other things, right? I would say, aside from her career, she prioritizes her immediate family. But when it comes to like relationship, she doesn't really factor that in. And
so basically, this guy was Mr. Safe. He was just there. He was taking her out while she was, she was busy, probably working a lot of overtime, play some corporate, maybe high corporate, high finance, whatever it is, lawyer. A lot of these women legal. I find the corporates, the high flying type, in-house legal counsel, shit like that. Of dime a dozen on the dating apps. Career women, nothing wrong with it. Just an observation. So they pick these guys because they hang around. They're safe. They're nice. They're nurturing. They're not high risk. They'll be there when they need them to be there because they're focusing on their jobs and everything like that. They don't want to be dealing with Chads and Tyrones and Bryces and Stevos and that. All right, like they don't want to be doing that. They want to be focusing on the job, their career. But the reality is,
she just used you to have someone there. You weren't her priority. That's the blatant truth. That's the obvious truth right here. The kids thing, we've settled on the fact that that's just a veil. And the kids thing does tie in with this whole career thing that this boss lady presentation, attitude that she has. But it ties in, well, I'm boss lady and kids aren't my priority, aka you're not my priority, but you're good to have around. You're good to catch up with once a week, couple of times a week. It's nice to have you there. We've established this kind of bond, okay? There's a little bit of a connection. You are like the definition of an orbiter. And by definition, okay, you're not just orbiting because you're also trying to get something from her that you want. No, you're orbiting, and I can see it. It's written all over this guy's face. She said, you know what? I want you back. I want to be with you. And that's also fair enough. I'm not criticizing him or knocking him for it if this only happened yesterday. Like at the time he's recording, he's saying yesterday, it's still very emotionally charged up, pent up for him. So he probably would. He hasn't really had time to process this. So even this whole video, he's trying to use reason and logic behind the things he's saying. But you can't fool me. I can tell that it's very built up and emotionally charged for him, everything that he's conveying to us as the viewer. Okay, so he's really fighting it. He's trying to rationalize everything and use logic and reason, but it's still very emotionally minded and emotionally driven. And in a way, he's going back and forth. He's tussling. He's gaslighting his own damn self with his whole thought process. And I did say earlier, I'm going to give you some pretty solid, probably the best advice you'll ever hear. You can outright even scrap just about every single other advice video and coach once you really get this in your head as a man. Don't take anything women say to you too seriously. I'm not talking about like a woman doctor or your attorney. Don't take them seriously, okay? If they're doing some, like a professional job or task for you, they're hired to do something for you professionally, okay? Don't take your surgeon who's gonna fucking cut you up too seriously. No, I'm talking about in a relationship, okay? Bring it back down to earth. Strictly in a relationship. Reasons why she ends it, why she's not happy with you. If you know deep down, self-analysis in your heart that you did your best, you put your best foot forward, that you were a good man, you weren't an abusive man, you loved this woman, you cared about her. She starts giving you all these things of you made me feel such and such. I'm not going to now rehash things that I've already said. If you watch this far, you've taken them on board. But she starts giving you that kind of feedback. Oh, it's the kids thing. It's not you, it's me. I deserve better. Again, I said it before. Maybe some of that sounds familiar. Maybe you have your own examples. Feel free to put them in the comments. Don't look at anything too seriously. Why? Because also, what did I say in this video? It's just emotionally charged. It's all emotionally driven. And you're just going to revert back to trying to find logical explanations and reasons. Yeah, it's a two-way street. Sure, you could have probably done something somewhere along the way that would have made you a better man, a better partner to be around. Yeah, you had your flaws, I suppose, somewhere as well. Perhaps you've tried to address them. You've had a conversation. You've told her flaws and things that you didn't see eye to eye with her. How willing was she to compromise when you put things to her? How willing was she to bend a little, be flexible, so to speak? How aligning was she with your core values? Did she even have any core values? Did she just want you around? You were good company. It was alright. Yeah, you made me happy. It was nice having you. It was nice having someone come over, have dinner with. Maybe if I was a little horny. Yeah, it was good to have sex, but nah. I'm not really attracted to you. You're just there and it's convenient to have you there. That can happen to a lot of men. You're just convenient to have there, to be around. And G-Man's saying, oh, it's good that she didn't just do you dirty. Maybe, just maybe, I would even argue that it's probably better if she does you, as G-Man's saying, dirty. I'm not saying dirty like you come home and locks are changed and all your stuff's on the street or it's already been pawned off, something like that. But if she just bluntly shoots it at you, but even then you'll start trying to read into it and understand. She's not going to give you a logical, reasonable answer. Okay, whatever her problems are, they're most likely going to be driven off an impulsive emotion. Not to say that there might not be some truth to it. Maybe she will just outright point out some kind of behavior that you did that you tried to address, you tried to change. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you didn't give a shit. Maybe you thought, you know what, deal with it. So maybe you weren't willing to compromise all that too much yourself. That can happen as well. That's why I've said this before. It's two-way street generally. But if you start hearing any of these buzzwords about feelings and the way you made me feel, it ties in with what I've said about women don't love men unconditionally. Women aren't connected to men the way men become connected and fall in love with the women in their lives.
So what happens is a lot of these women, they'll meet a guy at work who is of equal or higher status to them in the company they work at. And this guy here, that's when he gets his ass kicked to the curb because she finds the better option, right? And then all of a sudden, this guy's going to be like, oh, like in 3 years, oh, my ex, fucking whatever her name is, she's had kids and she's telling me she didn't want kids. She had kids with Joe Blow from the finance department. I don't understand it. Is that this guy was just a bench warmer for a while she could focus on her job.
Reminds me of this one. I wouldn't call it even a date. We just spoke. And she told me she'd gotten out of a serious long-term relationship. About a decade. There was kids involved. You might even be asking yourself, why the hell would you go on a date with someone like that? Look, I'm a pretty open-minded person and I like to learn off other people too. Best way to learn is to have interactions as well. So this isn't throwing shade, but this is to give you a pretty prime example. I asked this woman, why did you get out of this relationship with your now ex-husband? You had kids together. What went wrong? I wanted to hear an answer. I mean, let's just say that I'm here thinking if this woman's a good choice for me to be in a relationship with, hypothetically. Wouldn't you want to know the answer? And she tells me he simply doesn't understand and can't wrap his head around the fact that I fell out of love with him. I'm sitting there, straight-faced, and I'm like, yeah, he doesn't understand that you fell out of love with him. What more advice do you want? How many men's help channels do you guys honestly need to wrap your head around the fact that don't read into it because it's emotionally driven and it doesn't make fucking sense. So here's this guy, 10-year relationship, ended, down the drain. Fuck you. Apparently the guy even provided a house for her and the kids. He owned a house as well. Sure, maybe it wasn't this exuberant lifestyle with Ferraris and Lamborghinis, but even that it's all synthetic. It's not important. Sounds like then the guy had decent work ethic. He had a job. He had a good income, decent enough income to buy a house. Maybe he lacked, let's just say, fatherly skills, which can happen. That's okay. For some men, the nurturing and raising children aspect can be hard to wrap their heads around. They're not quite competent at that. Okay, but again, sounds like this guy was doing his best. And I also asked the question, well, since he's the father of these kids, is he still in their lives? Yeah, he's in their lives. We only interact when I have to drop the kids off or pick them up. And I asked, like, how does he feel about all this? Oh, he still tries to be in touch with me. He still tries to work things out. I'm like, sounds like he still loves you. Like he wants you to come home. He wants an ongoing... Yeah, but I don't care. I got to move on with my life. I don't explicitly know, but I'm assuming she's sleeping around. This guy had kids with her, was married to her, still loves her. That's what I mean. Unconditional. The connection men have to women. And I just fell out of love. That's the explanation, alright, that I received. There was nothing like he was abusive, violent, aggressive. He had a drug problem, alcohol problem. It was very difficult for me to be around him because he was delirious for the most part. Dangerous. Unhealthy environment, not only for myself, but the young kids. I didn't hear any of those words that I just rattled off the tip of the brain. That you could at least then sit there as a guy, another guy hearing it and be like, well, that sounds pretty reasonable. To end a relationship, to end a marriage, to move out. No. It was, I fell out of love. What the fuck does that even mean? So I hope you heed that advice right now. The most important advice I think you'll ever hear if you've watched this much of the video. That don't take it too seriously and don't sit there for hours. I suppose that's okay if you sit there for hours to try and rationalize things. You have to give yourself that logical closure to store the experience in the wisdom box to grow from it. But don't sit there and beat yourself up for weeks and months. Drive yourself crazy. Let yourself become really emotionally charged. Go down the route of substance abuse and addictions, vices, damaging your health mentally and physically. Emotional pain is a hard thing to bear and to handle, and being discarded, we'll call it, like that, like this guy, especially on, say, like a significant date like your birthday. For we don't know how he feels towards this boss lady girlfriend he had. Maybe deep down in his heart he really feels strongly about her. But me being now the third person with G-Man to this video, I can outright say that, again, if this is true, if we base it off the context he's given us, he was just someone to fill this bleak, temporary void and good to have around. Core values never aligned right from the get-go. It's not that she even fell out of love. It sounds like this boss lady never even loved him, even part-time. I think I'll let G-Man round it out. He's got about 5 or so minutes left. I've really said my piece, and I can't now recall the gentleman's name on screen, but maybe there'll be another point he's going to make. But I've really laid the foundations here for you guys to take away and to think about how perhaps your relationships in the past have ended, and trying to really convey the significance and importance of establishing and seeing what your core values are, what her values are, and how do they align. And again, her connection to you, her love, her value to you and in your life. How is she showing that? Is she respectful in public? Is she caring? Is she loving? Is she nurturing? Is she feminine towards you? Does she give off and radiate that feminine energy? Or is she trying to compete with you, all right, in some area of your life? trying to convey that masculine energy and trying to be your equal.
You know, I think with healthcare, she was explaining that it's tough for people who are in healthcare to date someone who's not in healthcare, just because healthcare people get that, like, it becomes your life. Whereas, you know, I majored in business, so I feel like when I'm working and then I'm done with work, I can just shut off. An example she gave was she was talking with her friend who's her classmate, and she asked, like, okay, if you won the lottery tomorrow, would you still go into work the next day? And she said yes. My girlfriend also agreed. She said yes, right? What this signifies is it's just not about the money.
Yeah, what is it about then? Do you really feel as though your corporate job is giving back to the world, enriching people's lives? If you do, I suppose, then yeah, fair play to you. More power of God to you. If your corporate job isn't fucking anyone over, it's straight as an arrow, yet it's morally applicable and aligned with your values, then again, more power to you. Go to work because you're enriching the lives of other people and making society, the world overall, a better place. Now, I don't think there's too many people out there that can honestly say that their job is doing that. I'm not saying all people. There are vital jobs, okay, for the betterment and function of society. But there's also a lot of pointless ones that only serve to profit someone else and for you to take profit from someone else. All right, to put someone else's money in your pockets. That's what a lot of jobs are. That's what sales is. For someone to win, for you to win, someone has to be winning more than you, your boss. But there's also someone's got to lose. To win big, someone's got to lose big. Would you go to work? Yeah, again, if you really love your job and you stand by it. But if you're going there as some kind of a flex, you won the lottery. Selfishly speaking, if I had a job that didn't impact anyone else's life and my role was to fulfill someone else, my boss, let's say, to put money in his pocket, that was my role. And I led that kind of lifestyle where someone had to suffer and be fucked over for what I was doing for someone else to then have a lifestyle. Won the lottery, I don't think I would come back to work. No way. There is so many things that I can think of that I would do with, let's just say, a couple of million. I'm not even talking dozens or tens or hundreds of millions. So many things to do in this world. Why would I want to waste another day, another 8 to 10 hour day with commutes, trying to flex and do some kind of a fucking job? Yeah, okay, you might be saying, well, it's routine, it's habit, it's commitment. Again, fair play to you. You want to live a disciplined lifestyle. You feel your job is fruitful. It's beneficial to your own mental health and sanity. Because routine and discipline can be. I'm not going to start going now into different territories. We'll keep it on relationships. But there's so many things that you can do with a lot of money. Lottery. I would have actually said, if I was this guy and really loved this chick, I'd be like, hell yeah, I'm going to quit. And you're going to quit too. We got millions of dollars. Let's go do something together. Why the fuck would I want you going to work? Why would I want to be going to work? Nah, man. Say it's a $10 million amount. That's it. We might, out of politeness, kindness, honor, courtesy, you can use those words, we'll go and resign with dignity, okay? We'll give in our notice. But otherwise, that's it. And we're going to use this money to enjoy ourselves, to set some foundations, to establish, buy a house, prepare to have a family together. They're like still thinking about their individual careers, even if they won the lottery. Not thinking with the mindset that I just shared with you of, okay, now we've got all this money. We can use that to enrich our relationship moving forward. Nah, man, fuck that. I want to flex, bro. Career first. You're second to none. That didn't really make sense, second to none. Because then you'd be first. You're second to my life, okay? You're the convenient guy again to have around.
When it comes,
It's bullshit. Like, I've heard people say this, would you still do this job if you didn't have to for free? Most of the time people say yes. I think it's that's almost like a cope as well. Why would you work for free if you don't have to? As I said, that you get these young ladies, there's nothing, I think it's good, like, be accomplished, do all those things, but they think that motivation and commitment to their work is going to last forever. Like, they've got that young energy, they're excited, they're boss babes, they're taking over the world. They're in their 20s, they're getting promotions, they're working hard. Good on them. I've seen a lot of really clever women in corporate. I got nothing against it. I think it's good. But eventually that slows down. That drive. It's not like a man generally has to keep, no matter what, has to try and keep progressing the best he can because he has expenses and things he has to cover and no one's ever going to bail him out. Okay? So eventually when we get to an age where they get tired, burnt out, corporate life, or he said healthcare, so I was wrong on that, like maybe a doctor or something, or specialist nurse, I don't know, I'm making up assumptions here, right? You get burnt out, you get stressed, and they start thinking, you know what, I don't think I can do this for the next 30 years. Okay, I've come across plenty of girls like that who have told me they're all about their career, and then they start thinking, what more is there to life? When they get to an age where it's almost do or die. And that's where you find all these different kinds of women on the dating apps and Bumble, and there's this huge population of attractive, but a lot of the time unreasonable but accomplished women on them. It's like a cookie cutter phenomenon. I would say it's almost like a pandemic.
To this particular case, because I know for me, like in my corporate job, if I won the lottery, then I'm sure as hell not going into the office the next day, right? So, yeah, I feel like there are pros and cons to dating every type of girl. That's like one thing that I want you guys to understand. It's not.
I'm going to finish it here because I don't agree with just about anything he's saying in his outlook. I'm not saying that there's only one rule for life and everything he's saying is absolutely wrong. I'm saying I don't agree with it. It doesn't align with my views of the world and my views of fruitful, successful, happy relationships, okay? Her career, your career, it doesn't fucking matter. It's your core values, your fundamental beliefs, and what you want out of the relationship long term moving forward, okay? Do you have the same faith? Do you believe in the same God? Do you have the same outlook of starting a family and having children? What's the end game? What do you want your life to look like in 5, 10, 15, 20 years? And then do you meet in relatively the same place when you ask those kinds of questions? If she says she wants to be a boss babe in 10, 15 years and you're already thinking, man, I'd actually like to have some sons, some daughters, be raising children. Say you want to be living on a farm and she wants to be living in the big city. That's where she sees herself. You're already falling out of alignment. You're not synced up. The career doesn't matter. It's the things like, is she willing to give up that career? Provided that you can fund a house. You can have a house. You can both live in that house. You can still live a relatively good, comfortable life. Live in this safe, secure environment to raise a family. If you can have all that, and she's happy with that, and again, your moral code, your principles, values, faith, it all aligns, your views of the world, she will let go of her career and be with you if those things are aligned, if those things are a match. But the hypergamy, I come back to that. I've said this analogy in another video of you might provide her 99% of something, but women, they can't help it. They'll look over the fence for that remaining 1%. And they end up finding themselves in situations where they will risk the 99% to get a taste of the 1. They just can't help themselves. So final thoughts, don't read too much into it when she breaks up. Have the conversation with yourself. Did I put my best foot forward? Did I genuinely care, love this woman? Did all I could by her, and I acknowledge the mistakes I made, but this is done and dusted, and don't try and read so far into it as you drive yourself crazy looking for answers where there are none because you think using logic and reason. And the reasons she gave to you were emotionally charged. That's really it. I think that right there is really my summarizing and concluding thoughts. Careers and incomes, they matter, but it comes back to how much she prioritizes and values you. How she treats you in the presence of others. How she treats you. There's one thing, again, being playful and outright disrespectful. How does she talk to you? Does she talk down to you? Again, does she try to compete with you? Try and be your equal, your match? Is she submissive? Or is she trying to, fight fire with fire? Her reception of masculine energy isn't to be submissive and feminine. No, she tries to bite back. No man wants that. It doesn't matter if your ethnicity or your culture. Men of all cultures and backgrounds don't want a woman that's trying to be on an equal playing field with them. Inherently, all men just want to be loved and respected, treated with humility, cared for, shown compassion. Okay, we don't need to watch the rest of this. I hope you got something out of it. It was good to do another G-Man Speaks React style video. I'll call it there. Thanks for tuning in.